will be. It's really just information sharing, but if it's helpful.
That'll be yeah, I think that would be helpful.
Yep. All right, so can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to drutopia.org first, and I'll tell you what Drutopia is. So this is basically the project page. So really, the idea is exactly what it says, is build a Drupal for the grassroots. So it's going back to the thinking that Drupal was built for small sites, nonprofits, grassroots organizations. That's where the roots of Drupal came from. And they've kind of not necessarily gone away from that, but going more into the enterprise. So this is a thought that, let's build a simple platform that people who don't have a lot of money, who don't have a lot of resources, are able to quickly get onto a platform that's maintained. There'll be an option for software as a service. So for very inexpensive, they can have their site hosted somewhere, because that's one of the biggest issues that small groups run into is, where am I going to host it? How do I do security updates? I don't have a Drupal expert. How do I know what I need? So this will be a Drupal 8 distribution that solves all those problems for smaller groups. Another big thing about Drutopia is the governance of Drutopia. It's going to be a membership-driven model where we're thinking, well, this is still all in the works, but we're considering having two different groups or memberships. One would be for the people using the software, for the different groups, where they get a say in, what the next feature might be, or, where the platform is going. And the other is for the software itself. So there'll be two different types of membership groups. The details, like I said, this Drutopia site here goes into some of the thoughts, and there's a white paper, there's a link to the white paper. But basically Drutopia is, as it says, Squarespace, Nation Builder, some of those tools allow you to get started, but quickly you run into a wall and say, but why can't I do the next thing? Why can't I do my own custom theme? Or, why can't I, make it look different or better? So Drutopia, the intent of Drutopia is to fill that gap between, those tools that allow you to quickly get up and running, but not yet beyond the full Drupal 8, where you have to go and build a site on your own. This will be a Drupal 8 distribution, or a series, of Drupal 8 distributions. Do you have any questions? Stop me anytime, by the way.
Not yet. I will later, for sure.
All right, great. So this came out of, I didn't join at the very beginning. At the very beginning, I believe it was people that were involved with the Open Outreach distribution, and people that were involved with the Open Aid distribution. And they kind of came together and said, for Drupal 8, let's build a combined distribution that'll be for these grassroots, nonprofit, small sites to solve the issues that they're running into and trying to get a site up and running. So the leadership team right now consists of Ben Mellinson. He currently is in the Boston area, soon to be moving to, I believe, Minneapolis. Ben was the person that pulled together the definitive guide to Drupal 7. And he's always, thinking of democracy and, open software and free software. And he owns a platform cooperative, which is one of the models we're looking at to build the Drutopia distribution on that type of platform.
What is that?
Platform cooperative, it's a member-owned organization, so everybody has a say. All the members participate. It's a democratic type of organization, where it's not a company that makes the decision. It's the members of the group that make the decisions. Now, maybe not all the decisions, but they'll have input into what's the next feature set or the next component that gets added.
Okay.
Because the idea behind Drutopia is it'll be a distribution, and there'll be kind of like reusable features or components that we can use across distributions. So for instance, the core Drutopia distribution will have things like events. There's another distribution that they're working on first called Solidarity. Solidarity will have things like, it'll have events, but it'll also have things like calls to action and some other features that particular vertical, the solidarity type of organizations are looking for. So those organizations will go in, we'll have an organization come and say, hey, I want to use Drutopia. And we'll say, well, what are you looking to solve? And we'll see what kind of features we already have, components that we can add. So each one of these distributions will be able to use the same type of features across distributions. But you don't have to have everything. So it's not like you're going to have to install a Drupal 8 with everything. You're going to be able to have a Drupal 8 based on the vertical that you're really looking for. Maybe it's small nonprofits and it's really just events, news, things of that nature, a dashboard, things like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yes, okay. All right. So I was talking about, so Ben is one of on the leadership team. There's a gentleman named Ned Joe Rogers. I've never met him personally. I guess he was on the Drupal Association a long time ago. His profile says he's been on Drupal.org for 13 years, so he's been around a long time. I believe he's part of the Open Outreach. Him and Rosemary Mann did a lot of work on the Open Outreach distribution. They live in Vancouver.
I'm not familiar with the Open Outreach distribution.
Yeah, I honestly, I haven't used it either a lot.
That was a nonprofit. That was a Drupal 7 distribution for nonprofits. I never worked much with it, but I knew it was out there.
Yeah, I'm looking for it here. Oh, Open Outreach. He's got 300 commits on here. Yep. So it looks like it was written back in 2010. And it's exactly what you said, Dennis, Open Outreach. And here's a bunch of the different sites that were built on it. And as you'll see, there's only a Drupal 7 version of it. There's not a Drupal 8 version of it. So they combined with OpenAid. So there's another gentleman, there's two people from Atten Design in Colorado that are also members of the leadership team. So they were working on OpenAid. Have you ever used OpenAid, either one of you?
No.
No.
Okay. Cause-driven organizations. So the other one said nonprofit. This says cause-driven organizations. Basically, Drutopia is combining those two in addition to grassroots small organizations. So Clayton Dewey is one of the individuals that worked at Atten Design. He's on the leadership committee. He just left to focus full-time on Drutopia. And then there's another, Erin is also from Atten. She's taken a leave from Drutopia temporarily, but she's also on the leadership team. And then there's myself, and I'm just kind of doing some project management for Drutopia. So there is a GitLab project. So I'm gonna go over here to whoever I have Drutopia. Let me go to the first one. Yeah, GitLab. So it's just gitlab.com/Drutopia. If you want to actually get in and see, like for instance, I talked about the Solidarity distribution. Here's the start of that. So there's a project for the Solidarity. There's a project for Drutopia itself, like the base distribution. And then we're not sure whether we're going to leave it organized like this, but each one of the features, blog, fundraising, events, articles, these are all the different features or components I spoke about that we can use both in Solidarity, in the base distribution, and in whatever other distributions the members come up with that we'll build. There's also
so are those like modular pieces that you can add to the base?
Yeah, they are. So like Drutopia Action right now is used, I believe, in the Solidarity distribution. This is just like calls to action. So the way we have it set up is each functional unit, each feature is a separate project. And then we have issues, et cetera, on the different projects. So if I looked at, is there any issues on this one? No, let me go back here and look at Solidarity, for instance, and show you that. You'll see this issue. So if somebody's interested in using Solidarity, would ask them to come in and add issues. Now, why am I not seeing the issues here? Here they are. I didn't scroll up enough. I have the black zoom bar on top of it. So there are the issues. And for instance, like dashboard actions or dashboard news. Let's go with news. That's more common. You know, somebody will come in and say, oh, I want to use the Solidarity distribution. Here's my user story. This is why I need this news feature. And then we'll come up with a proposed solution or a series of staged solutions. You know, this will be MVP. This will be maybe what we think of next. And then these components could be added to the different, you know, distributions like Solidarity or whatever else we come up with. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Can,
Yeah, so,
if
go
you're
ahead.
using it, and say you want to come up with some sort of feature on your own, can you just make it, or?
You can put an issue. You can put an issue in there, and you certainly can contribute. So one of the things we're looking for is for people to, you know, work on this, these distributions. So you go in, you put an issue in, and either you would help build it, or you would say, you know, if you're just somebody that has a nonprofit and you don't know Drupal, you would just put in, this is what we're looking for, and then, you know, as a member-driven cooperative, we decide, you know, where does that fall on the list of priorities, and in terms of what all the other members are looking for. And then, you know, it would get put into the pipeline to be built. The software, the idea is that the members would each pay a fee, a small fee, to be a member of the cooperative. And then if you wanted to do the software as a service, that would be the only real fee for somebody like a nonprofit. We're thinking is, you know, somewhere around $50 a month. Might be less for smaller groups, but that's the idea. That's the number we've come up with right now. For, you know, that'll take care of hosting, upgrades, you know, people writing the software, and that money will be funneled back into the developers who are creating this. Part of that money, I'm sorry. Part of it obviously will go to hosting, part to the maintenance, and then part to new development of new features for the platform.
Okay.
All right, so we had a couple of BOFs down at DrupalCon, and we talked to the Open Social group. I don't know if anybody's used Open Social. Kind of the same for nonprofits, but much bigger scale. I'll open up Open Social right over here somewhere. Open Social is a lot more money per month, but kind of the same. So we talked to the individuals doing Open Social in terms of, is there anything we can share, lessons learned, or any code that we can share between the Open Social distribution and the Drutopia distribution. And we're going to have ongoing talks with them. Somewhere in here, if I can find it, it talks about how much this is, and it's super high per month. Does anybody see a link here? Version control, maintenance. You know, it might be on GitLab or GitHub, and I can get you that fee, but I know they're looking at a much larger set of nonprofits, you know, versus small grassroots, you know, small nonprofit groups, which is more of the focus of what we're looking at. There is if you're interested in using it, there's a Drutopia SDK with a README that actually tells you exactly how to install it. There's not a lot there right now, but this is something that you could, if you wanted to, just get up and running with it. You could do that. So that's all under the GitLab Drutopia umbrella. So if I just go back to GitLab Drutopia, There's an SDK here. Drutopia SDK right here. And then it's just the README underneath there, which would allow you to get this up and running locally if you want to contribute. On the Drutopia.org site itself, if you want to know who's interested, so it talks about what it is, and then we've asked people if they're interested in helping out or they're just interested in the distribution at all to sign on. So you can flip through here and look at, there's quite a few people on here from all different companies, all different sizes, that are interested in this project. So this is a growing list. If it's something that you guys think you're interested in, or anybody you know is interested in either helping out or just interested in following along, we send out new email updates to this list. And you don't have to be a public member either of this list. If you want to be on the email list but not be listed publicly here, you can just let us know and we'll add you just to the email list. But you'll see there's a lot of people that have signed on here to that are interested in this idea.
Quite a few names I recognize.
Yeah, exactly, which is good. So we're trying to hold BOFs in sessions at the different camps just to get the word out. More and more people now know what Drutopia is. A lot of people, at one point, I had people say to me, "Oh, that's the anti-Dries, anti-Drupal thing." And I'm like, "No, it's actually based on Drupal 8. It's mainstream. It's just for smaller organizations." There are some principles that they want the organizations to, that are believe in democracy and openness and open source and all that kind of stuff. So, the leadership team is, they want to make sure that all those principles are upheld for the different groups that are going to get on the platform. But if you guys are interested at all, you can just sign on there or let me know.
So how would a group not meet those?
I don't know. I think they're just stated principles, and they're at the top of this thing. I don't do a lot in the nonprofit in this space, honestly, so I'm not as good. I could have Ben or Clayton or somebody talk to you about that, but I think pretty much any groups that believe in that kind of stuff would fit in this platform. Like I said, I'm definitely not the best one to be even bringing that up, but I just want to make sure that right here, it's somewhere in here. Principles of software freedom, community ownership, and intellectual politics to co-develop. Yeah, I need to reflect our values. So yeah, it's pretty open. It's just.
What is intersectional politics?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I did not write that, but I can find that out for you.
Well, I can look it up. I've just never heard of that before.
No, I haven't either. I don't know. I mean, this is a work in progress too. This whole Drutopia site is something that we're still working on. We're still working on the membership structures, and this is just right now just an idea, but it's definitely gotten off the ground. Like I said, we now have a full-time person working on it, in addition to the rest of us that are.
So how do you
Is it
spell
funded? Is it funded somewhere? Somehow?
Right now, there may have been one company that gave us some money to start with. We haven't started collecting membership or anything like that. We're still working out the legalities of that, I guess. How to form those organizations. That's in the works. So we're close to having that ready. But people can sign on to actually start helping to build it. That we have meetings on Mondays at 2:00 Eastern. I guess it's 11:00 Pacific, which anybody is invited to join. And if you sign up on this or give me your email, you get the link to that Zoom. It's a Zoom meeting that we have. Anybody's welcome. People come on and off that meeting in terms of how they want to get involved and what their backgrounds are and how they think they can best help, or if they have an organization that they'd like to bring on as one of the first organizations. I guess there's a couple we're working on right now. There's an international, oh gosh, I can't think of it. I think it's IWOC, something about prison workers organization. Sorry, I'm forgetting exactly what the acronym is that we're working on, but that's what the Solidarity distribution is working on right now for that particular group. And I think we're working on another group for the Drutopia-based distribution. But they're just getting off, it's just getting off the ground right now.
When it says that meet our needs and reflect our values, what values? Is that like personal values, development values?
That's a good question. I'm going to bring this whole thing back to, I think this was just written up when we first started this. I don't think we've refined this page, but I will definitely get this top paragraph, get further clarification and better wording on that. So it, you know.
Because that just brings, you know, memories of the whole thing that just blew up.
Yeah, with Larry.
Yeah. Now you talk about values. Okay, all right. Whose values then?
Yeah. This was written before any of that happened, so I don't think it has anything to do with that. But I'll get clarification as to exactly what we mean by that.
I'm also curious as to what they mean by democracy. If a Trump supporter type organization wanted to use this, would they be allowed? I'm just curious as to who defines values.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm curious about too. Is it for, because it says,
oh, sorry.
Or if you had a pro-gun organization or something like that, something that goes against many, you know, I don't know the background of these people.
I think they're just, you know, open software, you know, member-driven organizations.
Okay.
Free software. I don't think they're into specifically any of the things that you mentioned.
Okay.
I think it's just more, you know,
okay.
the principles of open software. I believe open free software. But the value add to this model is, versus a regular distribution, would be the software as a service option, where it would be, because that's the biggest problem small groups have is, you know, where do I host it and how do I apply the security updates and keep it up to date? And, you know, do I have to go out and hire my own development firm? I don't have money for that. I just have a small, you know, fund to, you know, to use for this. So we would do all that for them.
Okay.
There are talks, should probably get you a list of the different sessions if any have been recorded on Drutopia. A lot of them have been BOFs so far. We're just getting into actually presenting it at camps. But I can get you a recording once. I know Ben is doing one at Twin Cities, which is in June. I think he's doing one before that as well. So I can get you links to those. They speak a lot more eloquently about all this than I do. Because like I said, I don't really work in this space. I don't have the background that they all have. I'm kind of coming at it just as, you know, as asked to help do the project management piece of it or help with the project management piece of it. So I'm not the best spokesperson is basically what I'm trying to say.
I think you're doing great.
Okay. So the key thing is if you want, you know, anybody can go in to GitLab. It's an open source project. You can download it locally. You can clone it.
Where were the installation instructions again?
Sure. It was under Drutopia and then Drutopia SDK, Software Development Kit. Okay. It's a quick start for people who want to contribute code to the distribution. So then you just come down here to the README. And actually, you don't even have to go to the README. It's basically right here.
So it won't let me in. I guess I have to create an account. I can't just. Yeah, I'm at gitlab.com/Drutopia, but then I go /Drutopia SDK, and it wants me to log in. Utopia SDK. Okay.
Yeah, I am logged
Oh,
in.
no,
So,
it let me in. Okay.
oh, did it? Okay.
Yeah, I must have typed it wrong. Okay.
All right. And GitLab is an open source GitHub. It's an open source clone fork of GitHub, I believe.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I know Drupal is
Yeah.
looking at GitLab as a possible alternative to D.O, Drupal.org.
Okay.
So the fact that we're using this and different people are contributing is a good start, because Drupal.org is looking at things like merging and that kind of stuff, which you can do with GitLab.
So I tried to sign up, and do you have to be approved or something?
You try to sign up on this page here.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have to be approved.
Well, I bet you do, because there's all that people are trying to create fake accounts.
Oh, true. That's probably what it is. They just make sure that you're a real person. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, I believe that is. So you'll probably get an email saying that Rosemary is another one on the leadership team. She usually goes through those and then sends out the welcome email with the information about the meeting and such. But if you definitely have small nonprofit or small thing that you want to get up and running on this, what we're really looking for is.
Hey, Doug Van.
Hey, Doug. What we're really looking for is people who want to help build it. In addition to, if you have an organization that you'd like to put on it, creating those user stories saying, this is what we're looking for. This is what my organization needs. You can see from GitLab, and I'll show you. I know Doug wasn't on before, but I'll go back to the GitLab to the. So as I said, there's a different project right now today for each different feature or component that we're putting in these distributions, so blogs or events. And you can just go in, and somebody went into event and said, you don't have, what's the issues again? Location isn't yet on an events, and we need locations for our particular nonprofit. They want locations on the events. So they just create an issue, and they just created a user story saying, I'll open this one up. A content editor can set the location type. So you're just welcome to go in and put in, user stories, or just put in information that, the nonprofit that I think would be a good fit for this has this particular need. And then as a group would look at that and decide, like I said, where it fits in and what the priority might be.
So I'm trying to understand how all of these components work with your specific build. So say I'm a developer and I know how to build a site, but I'm going to use Drutopia. If I build a regular Drupal site, I can create my own features or my own content type or whatever in my build, and I could create my own event content type that had everything that I needed for an event. So, but are you saying what they want for Drutopia, what they want you to do is create something that you would contribute to the overall module features or whatever, and then use that component, add it to your site after?
Yeah, so it won't be like you can add individual things to your sites. There'll be these distributions like the Drutopia base or the Solidarity distribution. The Solidarity distribution, as an example, will have components like the blog, the call to action, the events. Those will all be features or components that are part of that distribution. You as a nonprofit that are going to use this, that have signed on to use Solidarity, can decide to turn those different features on or off. You won't necessarily be able to go in to the solidarity distribution and add other things, it'll be a distribution that, I mean, you could fork it if you want and go off on your own, because this is an open source project. But the idea is to make it simple for nonprofits just to go in. And the whole reason why I would ask the members who want to be part of this to say, you know, what other features that you need is so we can build those and then have the nonprofits just go in and say, I want to use these particular, you know, these 4 out of the 5 things that are available for me to use. I don't have events, so I don't want to use that. I just have, you know, news articles that I want to post or something, or fundraising. Just turn those on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so the components, it's like a menu of components. And you can only add the components that are on the menu. You can't say, all right, I want to add a certain type of events, but you don't have it. So I'm going to build my own and also use the one that you have.
Right, you wouldn't be able to do that, but you could come into the project as a member of the project and say, hey, you know, my group has a need for this, and would see other groups that have a need for that. And then you could either help build, or you could, you know, the Drutopia team could decide to build that on their own if you're not a developer per se. You know, if you're just a group that comes in and says, hey, we need this feature, the Drutopia group would then build that possibly in a priority order and put that into the distribution if they felt that it would benefit multiple members of that.
So say I'm a developer for a nonprofit, and this nonprofit has a need for a special component that's not available. I, as a developer, wouldn't go to their Drutopia site and build it for them specifically. I would first build a component, put it on the Drutopia shelf as a contributed component, and then take that component off the shelf and then put it into my development.
The Drutopia team would put that into that particular, say you wanted it in the Solidarity, you're using that, they would decide, yeah, it's going to go into Solidarity. And then you'd be able to turn it on. You could fork it, like I said. Anybody can fork this because it's open source. You could fork it and do whatever you want, but then you lose the benefit of us automatically upgrading it for you. So if you took the software as a service model, so that you were paying so much a month, and it was automatic, all the updates were being done, and you know, all the maintenance was being done, and you know, the hosting, and you didn't have to worry about any of that.
So the user side is geared toward organizations that are non-technical, who don't have a tech person or an IT person or developer.
That's my understanding. Now remember, I did not work, and Doug, just so you know, this came out of a combination of people that worked on the open outreach distribution, the open aid distribution, and also people who have just worked a lot in the nonprofit space, in the grassroots, you know, startup type of organizations or grassroots organizations as well. So they have a lot better background. So I'm kind of just trying to give you an overview without really knowing a lot of the details. And I don't want to misspeak. And I may have already misspoken, but that's I'm just telling you my understanding of the ideas behind the project.
Okay, that's good.
But I certainly can get somebody, if you guys are really interested in if you have groups you think you might want to put on this, I certainly could get other members of the leadership team who have a lot more experience in nonprofit grassroots and those open aid, open outreach on a call, you know, and they could go through it with you in much more detail and much more eloquently than I can.
I'm wondering if any of the camps or anything that they're going to in the near future, they're going to record the presentations that we might be able to watch.
I'm sure they will. I think Twin Cities. Actually, I know Twin Cities is recording because the gentleman Kevin Thule, I think his name is, who I was trying to get to record Design for Drupal, which is the same weekend as Twin Cities. He's recording at Twin Cities, so those sessions will be recorded. So I will get Ben's session, and you know, we can talk about it, or we can listen to it at one of the meetings. And I can also have Ben come on if you wanted to at some point.
Okay, that would be interesting to hear.
Yeah. So let me just go back for Doug's benefit. Doug, you're still on, right?
I see him there.
He might be muted.
Yeah, he's muted, so there he is.
I was muted. Yeah, go ahead. I appreciate you. Go ahead.
Oh, no problem. So you missed the beginning. I was just going to tell you that drutopia.org is the project page. This isn't really necessarily up to date. This was our original thought on the project. But the idea is it's a Drupal 8 distribution, a series of distributions with, as I said, a software as a service option. And the idea is building a Drupal, as it says on this page here, build a Drupal for the grassroots. So going back to where Drupal came from originally with the Howard Dean campaign, and not necessarily the campaign, but with those small grassroots organizations, and getting back to helping them easily spin up Drupal sites, and to use Drupal instead of Nation Builder or Squarespace or one of those, so that they're on Drupal, they understand Drupal, and a lot of those nonprofits have, people working on the boards that work for other companies as well. So it's kind of spreading Drupal 8 as well as helping the small organizations that would benefit from a project or distributions like Drutopia.
Sweet.
Do you have any questions, Doug, at all? There's, as I showed everybody else earlier, there's it talks about what Drutopia is. There is a full white paper here. If you go to the white paper, it does list the leadership team on it. It doesn't give you details about the leadership team. The best place to find out is there's also a project on Drupal.org. Drupal.org project. I'm on Open Social. I was talking about Open Social earlier, but there is a Drutopia project here, and it does list some of the membership team as committers. So Ben, Nedjo. I haven't committed anything because I'm kind of doing project management for them, but these are some of the people that so far have committed. These are all members of the Drutopia team. And some of these guys, Ben was the person that pulled together the definitive guide to Drupal 8. I don't know if you know Ben Mallinson, Doug.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. And then Clayton Dewey worked for Atten up until last Friday, Atten Design out of Denver. He's not working full-time on the Drutopia project.
Sweet.
Yep. Nedjo Rogers. I've never met Nedjo in person, but he's been on the calls. He's been around in Drupal for, I think it's 13 years. He was on the Drupal Association back when it first started. Yeah, 13 years, 7 months.
He doesn't look familiar.
No, he doesn't. He used to work for Tag One, which I was reading about a little while ago, and they were like one of the first companies in the Drupal space. So, and he worked for Civi Action. So these guys really know a lot about the nonprofit space, the grassroots space, which I don't. So they would be much better speakers for this project, but I just know about it. So I'm just trying to give you an overview.
I was going to say it sounds a lot like Civi Action.
Yeah, does it? Yeah, I don't know what Civi Action was.
Still is. It's not past tense, is it?
Not as far as I know.
Oh, it still is?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, okay. All right. Nice. So there is a GitLab. There is a GitLab project, Doug. So it's just gitlab.com Drutopia. So right now there's two distributions. There's a base distribution. There's Solidarity distribution, which is, I forget what it is, International Prison Workers Organization or something like that. They're coming on to the Solidarity distribution, and that's the one that Clayton's working on first. And you'll see there's all kinds of issues, and anybody can add issues or fork this or whatever they want to do. But if you want to work on the main Drutopia, there's an SDK here where you can. Right now it's Vagrant. They're going to convert it probably to Drupal VM or something, but right now it's just VirtualBox with Vagrant. You can come in here, you can clone the repo and see what's going on so far.
Wow, looks like it's already Drupal VM because that's exactly the recipe for instantiating Drupal VM.
Yeah, it might be. Ben said today something about having some issue with Drupal VM, so he didn't have it fully on Drupal VM. They also talked about that new thing that's been talked about at the cons and camps recently. FFW did it, Drupal, what's it called? There's
Another containerized
oh,
launcher for Drupal?
Docker Sol, Docker SAL, Docker Sol.
Drupal for Docker or Docker for Drupal is something I've heard of, but Docker Sol I haven't.
Yeah, they had a couple things down in Baltimore.
Man, well, you missed one con.
Yeah, no kidding,
huh? Or three, yeah.
Yeah, you've missed three. Come on, Doug, we're missing you.
Well, Nashville's close. You may see me next year.
Oh, there you go. I don't know if it's Docker, so I'll have to get you the name. I know it's I know FFW. Is that the name of the company, FFW?
Yeah, FFW, Friends from Work.
So let me just do FFW Docker.
Docksol, DOCKSAL, Docksol.
Oh, Docksol. Okay, so it's not Docker Sol, it's Docksol, yeah. So it's it's a Docker-based development environment. So don't know how that differs. Yeah, I don't know how that differs from Drupal VM or from Vagrant or Docker or any of the other multiple things out there.
Drupal VM uses Vagrant to build up a virtual box.
Okay.
Whereas Calabox uses Docker and Docksol uses Docker and Docker for Drupal uses Docker. Wow, that's no end in sight to the ways to locally have a Drupal site stood up. That's amazing.
Yeah, no kidding, huh? Yeah. So, do you have any questions, Doug? I know you came on late.
No, not at all. You've summarized it quite nicely.
Yeah, so it's cool. So you can just, if like I told Dennis and Kathy, if you want to, you don't have to sign on, but if you want to get the newsletters and such, if you just go on to drutopia.org, you can sign on as somebody interested in the project, or send me an email and I can have you added to the email list without publicly signing on to, all the people that have publicly signed on are listed here. It's just people that are interested in the project. And there's people from Lullabot and Acquare and all kinds of different companies on here. Small companies, big companies. So,
really?
Oh, yeah.
Encouraging.
Yeah, there's a lot of different people on here. And you probably recognize a lot of them. I recognized a lot as I was going through, Yeah. But yeah, so if you're interested in either helping out, or if you know organizations that you want to come on as a small nonprofit, just let us know. So Kathy, was that a good enough overview from somebody that I'm not really that technical into Drutopia and I'm not really that philosophical into the Drutopia principles, but I tried to give you an overview.
Yes, thank you. That was a very good introduction. So I have I'm very curious and interested in it. I did try to sign up and it doesn't block me from signing up several times and I didn't see a message. So I signed up 4 times and I got 4 emails.
Oh, you did? Oh, yeah. And are you on here 4 times?
No, it says that they're going to get back to me.
Oh, it said that, so you haven't been added here at all?
No. So it must be like what Dennis said, is that they want to verify the people. I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah, if your name was, your first name was Kill, your last name was Trump, and then your name appeared on this page.
Yeah,
there might be a problem there.
Right. Or Mickey Mouse or something like that,
Well, that might be too offensive right there, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think they're just trying to make sure that they're legitimate before they put them on the list. So I'm sure that Rosemary, who goes through those, will be adding you.
It says, thanks so much for your interest in Drutopia. We will follow up with you soon. In the meantime, you can check out the
projects we have
going on at GitLab.
Yep, right.
That's the same email I just got. Yay.
Nice. Awesome. All right. Well, like I said, let me know if you want more information. I'll get somebody that's far more intelligent than me in terms of Drutopia on a call, if that's helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd be interested in learning more, but if they have a session coming up somewhere that they record, or if they'd like to come, we'd certainly like to have them.
Okay. Yep. I think there's definitely sessions, so I'll get you links to those to start, and then we can, as we progress a little further, like I said, we're still working on the organizational and all, how to get the member organizations. It is going to be probably a platform cooperative. I don't really know exactly what that is, but I know that's how, different companies are now forming. It's more member-based company, where it's owned by the members as opposed to being owned by, one particular person. So I think that's how they're trying to organize it. But again, I can get you more information on that. And I'm sure the talks will go over that, the sessions.
Okay, yeah, I'm interested in seeing how not only the distribution is built, but also the philosophy behind it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, okay, I'm going to stop recording this. So.
Oh, thanks.